Welcome to Walker Tea Review. I'm Jason Walker here with another tea to taste. This is an Indian tea, but it's not from the usual areas associated with tea in India. So I'll tell you a little bit more about that. But let me scoop out enough here. Got a tasting set, which is what a lot of how teas are often cupped and evaluated in India. So I thought it would be appropriate to use something more like this. And I want to cover, I couldn't measure out a precise amount, but I just generally want to cover the bottom surface of my tasting cup here. Just a sprinkle more. That looks good. Keeps me from seeing the bottom of the cup there. And my water's been brought to an early boil, started to rumble, but not a full rolling boil. And I want enough water just below the opening there, which becomes my pouring kind of spout. That looks good. Get my water out of the way, get my lid on, let that steep. Introduce this tea. This tea is from Lochan Tea, and this is their Doke Rolling Thunder 2013 second flush. Now, Doke Estate. Again, this is in Bihar, which is not this is not Darjeeling, it's not Nilgiri. This is its own kind of unique area. The Bihar district province is borders Nepal. It has agricultural roots or background or history. It also has some major cultural roots associated with it as well. But not, like I said, not the usual place. Rajiv Lochan and the Lochan Tea Company have worked to kind of establish new areas. So this is kind of a new area, a new place to look for tea, Indian teas. So I think it's one of the first, or if not the only tea estate in that area. So interesting thing to look at here. This particular tea, you can get 50 grams for $6 US. It is USDA certified organic. What else? I mentioned this is second flush. Actually, my packaging here says this is not 2013. This is 2014. Okay, second flush. So that's interesting. What else to tell you? Lochan Tea would be the website where you would find that, lochantea.com. Let me go ahead and talk a little bit about this dry leaf then. In here into the dry leaf, giving a smell. This is considered an oolong. At first glance with these, this is, you can tell this is a very heavily oxidized oolong. It bears resemblance to a black tea. And some of these smells are malty, rich, kind of almost chocolatey sweet, or somewhere between chocolatey and very heavily roasted fruits. If you baked cherries, roasted cherries, there's kind of that roasted type of smell. It's getting into some kind of baked grape as well in there too. So again, it's warm, toasty, sweet, fruity sweet, and maybe a hint of the chocolatey sweet in there too. Scooping out a few of these leaves to look at them. Wiry, twisted along the length of the leaf. Can be up to 2 inches in length. I see some kind of light gray, silvery leaves in there, indicating that there are needles, buds in there. Percentage-wise, I would give it around 10%. Looking here and then looking into the bag as well, maybe about 10 to 20%, 20% at most. So, and the color there you notice was bister, a deeper, dark black, gray, dark brown type of color. So again, something that would look like a black tea. Now I'm going to show first, or I'm going to use this first as a cupping set This is the elements, the components of a cupping set. Your lid has a hole which allows the air to flow into the cup as the water flows out, so you don't get a lot of dribble, and you can pour quickly and easily with 2 hands or with 1, but then you're able to kind of rest it there in the cup, let that drain. So if you've got several of these that you're working on at the same time, you can go down the row of them and turn them up quickly to get a more consistent steep time. I'm going to shake out those last few drops, and I'll transition this to the pitcher so we can talk about the liquor in just a moment. But first, give this a shake and talk a little bit about the wet leaf here. Give it a smell. Black tea aromas. It's getting into that kind of raisiny, baked peach type of smells, raisin bran, even a little bit of a toasty wheat bran kind of smell. Malty type of smells in there too. Give that a shake. Get lots of the leaf there to rest on the lid. The needle stuck to the side, set that back there. Because you do have tips or needles like this. You do have leaves like this one, and they are fairly even in its reddish, between coppery and deep rust red type of color there. You tease this leaf open, it's going to unfurl fairly easily, and you can see edges that are fairly smooth and clean. Leaf is intact, looks to be. Okay, so there's a leaf. It's fairly even in color, consistent in its shape as well. Not a lot of ragged edges there either. And that's the characteristic that I see largely throughout these leaves that I have here. Okay, so setting that to the side now, get to the liquor, which I need to show first. So I'm going to pour into my pitcher so it can be seen a little bit more easily. Give that a swirl, and you see that it's got a deep, rich kind of, again, coppery rust type color there. Okay. Malty notes. Some of the baked, some of the raisiny type notes coming out as well. Give that a pour. Looks still nice, clean in the cup here. Give it a taste. A light briskness, which gives it a nice kind of refreshing punch to it. Raisiny, molasses, a little bit of maltiness combined in this. I would say the aroma characteristics, texture-wise, the briskness, that astringency gives it a lightly drying type of feel on the tongue and in the insides of the cheek, the gums. As it cools a little bit, a light bismuth or wintergreen type aroma, a light cooling type of sensation, picks up a little more on at that point as this temperature cools off a little bit. As I move my tongue around, you can draw out, you can kind of amplify, kick up that bismuth, that wintergreen type aspect. Aftertaste is in that zone of molasses, of the baked bean type sweetness that you can get. Yeah, and it's fairly sustained. I'm still getting that, and the astringency, the briskness there, still holding on, dropping off some, but gives it so the molasses baked, sweetly baked bean type aspect combines with a little bit of that raisin bran type aspect, and those two are at play together in the aftertaste, and fairly sustained aftertaste. I'm still getting some of that. It's dropping off more so now. The briskness, again, is falling, I would say, in parallel with that flavor aroma, which but still leaves a kind of a light, dry coating on the mouth and on the tongue and inside the mouth as well. Looking at this tea, it's an oolong. You know, some people even argue that a Darjeeling is very close to characteristics and what other places call oolong. There's a debate discussion there, but if you were to kind of think along those lines, this oolong versus other Darjeelings as oolongs, where would I put this? How would I relate this to something in that area? This one is, again, many people associate these characteristics with a black tea. As a black tea, or as compared to other black tea characteristics. A good amount of briskness and astringency. Wasn't too harsh. Characteristics there a little bit more complex than some of your black teas. Again, some of the raisin, some of the molasses, some of that baked bean type of sweetness there. Some of the again, a little bit of light raisin bran type element there. So lots of things going on there. Fairly sustained in its character. And again, fairly well balanced between the characteristics of the flavor aroma and the briskness, the taste, the mouth feel aspect. So looking at this one, I'd probably give this one an 88. Nice components, something to check out if you haven't explored one of these teas before, like from new areas. Something to consider. Come back to Walker Tea Review. Look for teas that may be new to you, worth trying for on your own. Subscribe to the newsletter to get tea reviews like this one delivered directly into your inbox. Subscribe to the member content articles on tea origins, tea production, expert opinions on tea as well.